It made me cry.
This one's wife. He's petrified of her. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. The Super Soaraway Sun, with a report from Rebecca Miller, tells us Prince Harry will return home, an expert has claimed, but without this one's wife. Speaking on the Sun's royal exclusive show, historian and biographer Hugo Vickers suggested Prince Harry will return to the royal family, but alone and in 10 years' time. During an exclusive conversation with the Sun's royal editor Matt Wilkinson, Hugo was asked where he thinks the Duke and Duchess of Sussex will be in a decade's time. Hugo replied, "I think he'll come home. If he comes home, it will be very nice for him because he won't particularly want to. He's quite angry, I think." Matt clarified, "Do you think he'll come home alone?" The expert confirmed, "Yes, I do." The king, as I have mentioned before, has left the door wide open for him to do that. And he was doing such a good job before. He looked so happy. Usually you're happy when you're doing your duty and you're doing it for other people and you're putting things into life. I personally think he, Harry, is petrified of losing her and looks slightly petrified of her, to be honest, he claimed. That's kind of a tricky one to say. It's a horrible syndrome to get into. Matt continued, "We were told last year that he, Harry, was feeling a little homesick. And I do worry when they were here. They were apparently so full of ideas, waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning, coming up with all these ideas. I am disappointed they have gone to America after turning on the royal family with all their shows." The royal editor referenced the alleged polo show, this one's wife's new Netflix show that celebrates the joys of cooking, gardening and friendship, and the couple's regular appearances at award shows. Matt added, "I don't know Harry, but I don't think that is the life he maybe wanted." Hugo said, "What is terribly sad is the late Queen gave them the whole of the Commonwealth to explore. William and Catherine would do the home things and the Commonwealth, to which they were both committed." The expert referenced some of this one's wife's previous work in the Commonwealth, which she had been carrying out before marrying Prince Harry, and therefore the Queen's generous offer seemed like a perfect fit. Hugo added, "But that wasn't enough for them, which is very sad. It could have been so wonderful, and it's turned out not to be." Matt jokingly suggested, "I've got an idea. If Harry comes home alone in 10 years like you suggest, he could live in Royal Lodge." But Hugo wasn't convinced. "Well, yes, I don't know." Thus the suggestion is that Harry is petrified of losing this one's wife and that he's also petrified of her. Is this accurate? Well, let's examine the possibility that he's petrified of losing her. There is force in this suggestion. As is typical with the victim of a narcissist, he has found himself isolated from both friends and family. This one's wife, in order to better control him, removed him from a familiar environment and moved him to shifting sands. This is a common narcissistic manipulation by which the narcissist puts the primary victim in a position where the world around them is not particularly familiar. But the one thing that is familiar is the narcissist. And in so doing, this means that the victim becomes all the more reliant upon the narcissist for a sense of stability and familiarity, meaning that rather than pursue new opportunities, make new friends, explore new ideas, they remain fixed on the narcissist and wholly reliant upon them. This means that not only does that victim become far easier to control, and it means that the narcissist finds it easier with regard to the receipt of fuel and character traits and residual benefits, it also means that the individual finds it very difficult to contemplate not being with the narcissist. This may sound extraordinary to some of you, whereby you would think, well, if you're being abused by this narcissist and you are in the sustained devaluation, surely you would want to leave. The fact is, a combination of emotional thinking which corrupts the thought process of the victim, basically causing them not to use logic, combines with the fact that they don't have anybody else. In many instances, even though the narcissist cheated on that person, abused them, when the relationship has ended, the victim finds that there's a huge hole in their life because their life was the narcissist. Remember, even through the sustained devaluation, there will be respite periods where the dynamic is between narcissist and intimate partner primary source. So it's not bad all of the time. And the victim, indoctrinated to relish and enjoy that golden period, wants to get it back. And when the narcissist disengages from them, they're left with a huge hole in their life. All the things that they once did with the narcissist, both good and bad, have gone. They didn't have anything else. They didn't see their friends or barely saw them. Ditto family. They dropped hobbies. They may even have not focused on work in the same way that they once did. And thus there is a yawning chasm when disengagement occurs, and the prospect of finding themselves in that place invariably frightens certain victims, notwithstanding the fact that they're actually better off, because they're no longer being abused. Accordingly, there is merit in the suggestion that Harry may be petrified of losing her. Based on the evidence and logic, he shouldn't be. She's abusing him. She is his jailer. In actual fact, he would be far happier once he gets away from her. But his emotional thinking and her manipulations have him trapped. What about the suggestion that he is actually petrified of her? He stands much taller than her, he's physically stronger than her, but it may well also be the case that he does fear her. There are many men that are abused by women, finding themselves in a situation because of their own moral fibre that they don't feel that they're able to strike back when they're being physically abused, that is anathema to them. There are male victims who find themselves subjected to all of the emotion and psychological manipulations, confused as to what is going on, just wanting things to go well, wanting things to be sorted out, and they can't understand why they're being treated in that manner, and it frightens them. They may also be frightened in relation to the prospective loss of the family unit, financial problems that could arise from divorce, and so forth. With someone like this one's wife, although she operates with a facade in public, and, as a middle mid-ranger, generally is governed by cold fury, which means glaring, silent treatments and curled shoulders, there will also be, because she's mid-range, the presence of heated fury, and therefore behind closed doors it's entirely conceivable that there will be explosive instances of heated ignited fury, where property is destroyed and she may even physically attack Harry. She might strike him, scratch him, push him. Ultimately, that wouldn't feel particularly damaging, but it would with regard to his self-esteem and pride, and the sudden explosions of vitriolic insults directed towards him, or the sustained application of a cold fury silent treatment will affect the vulnerabilities of a man who has his fragilities, and in the circumstances he may well be scared of her and the way that she behaves. What do you think? Do you think he's petrified of losing her? Or do you think that he doesn't believe that that will ever happen? Do you think he's petrified of her? Or again, do you think that he's perfectly content with the scenario that he finds himself in? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.